Hi, my name is Min, and I will introduce you to my Python code of Roman numeral calculator. So, based on the project guideline, we are only using five characters, which are I for 1, I's for 1, V is for 5, X is for 10, and you know, L is for 50, and C is for 100. And because we are not exceeding any value beyond 380 in this project, so what I want to go over in my program first is the all of the functions that I initialized. So the first function that I initialized is the value function, which is used for converting or the equivalent returning the equivalent Arabic number to the Roman character that I use in the program, in the calculator. And so I'm only using five of the basic Roman character, which are again IVXLC, which stands for 1, 5, 10, and 50, 50, 100. So that's pretty much what I did in the first functions. And the function after that is the get Roman function, which I wrote get rom for short because I didn't want to type that, you know, two extra letter. And so this function will prompt the user to enter their desired Roman number for short. So it will prompt the user to enter a Roman number, and it will check if that Roman numeral number is valid. And if it's not valid, it will tell the user to input a new Roman number. So yeah, so that is so far my get Roman functions. And one of the function within that get Roman function is the function of is valid Roman, which I created here. So what it does is simply checking if um, each element of that Roman character list is a valid character in the to check if it's a valid character with the ancient Roman numeral rules, and to check if it's I or V or X, C, and O. And if it's one of these, then it is a valid Roman numeral number. And you know, if it follows with the if functions, with the if statement, conditional statements here, the function will return true. And if it doesn't, the function will return false. And as it says up here, the user have to the user have to input again another Roman number. But I should have had somehow I move it all the way up here. I should have had it below the is valid Roman because the is valid Roman was implemented into the get Roman simply because I was just following the order of the project guidelines. So the next function that I want to go over is the conversion of Roman number to Arabic number. So first, the result is a value that I initialize and before heading to the while loop, and the I value, which I initialize as 0, which I use for indexing. And as you can see, um, when I get to the while loop, the first value is the first character within that Roman number. So v1 is for value 1, and then the after that I use an if statement to check if there is another character within that string, or yeah, that string. So by adding that index, that first index by 1, and see if it's less than the length of the string. Because simply, if there's only one number within the string, if there's only one character within the string, and that first character will always be 0 by the index, and the length will always be 1. So in this case, if 0 plus 1 is 0 plus 1 will be equal to 1, then it will tell the program will tell me that there's only one character within that strings. So in this case, I'm checking if one I mean if I plus 1 is less than the length of the string. So after that, mm, the next value will be I plus 1, indexing from the Roman number. And within that if statement, there's also another if statement checking if the first value is less than the second value, and if it is, the total value, not the total value, the subtraction rules of the Roman number, of the ancient Roman number rules, will be implemented. Because if the character in front is less than the character after that, then we will take the bigger character minus the smaller character, which I have it right here. Result is equal to result plus v minus 1. The most important part in here is v2, v2 minus v1. And after that, I will um, skip over that next element of that strings in order to continue on, because I already used the I plus 1 in here for calculations. And yeah, so after that, the else statement is for checking if the string has only one value. Then oh yeah, the else statement in here within the if conditional statement. The else statement is for checking, is for unless v1 is equal to or greater than v2, then the result will be just adding v1 instead, and save v2 for later on. Okay, so outside of that whole two conditional statement, there is the outside out statement, which is for checking if um if there's only one character within that string, um the value will be just that one character, adding all over again. And then you know I plus 1, I plus equal to 1 will be the next I value in the while loop, and it will eventually stop because I initialize it as I is less than the length of Roman strings. So the next function that I want to talk about, briefly, is the the conversion of Arabic number to Roman number. So in this function, I created two two arrays of list, and the purpose of these two lists is because I believe that these are, you know, the list of the most common factor for any number, the most common division factor for any number, and which are 1459, 1040, and 5090, 100. And I created the list and the equivalent Roman number as well. So the index that I initialize here is the length of any of these two lists. And oh no, this is not the length. This is the highest index within the list. So Roman is for just an empty list, and later on, in order to assign a Roman numeral number, and so the Arabic number is the default value that as an input to this this functions, and also the while loop. I created the while loop because the while loop will continue looping until it finds a factor, and the factor in here is simply the Arabic divided by, double divide by the index by the index of the Arabic number here, the most common factor Arabic number. So later on the factor will get divide. I mean, will subtract by one in order to move down, and eventually, if the factor is zero, the while loop will stop. And the reason that I put another while loop in the while loop is because I want the factor to continue looping until the um, the associated Roman the associated Roman character is found from the from the from the module and divisions up here, because um, if Arabic module by the Arabic number up here, it will return it will return a leftover of remainder, and that remainder will be representing the Roman numeral for our mathematical operations. So the next function on the line is the mul function, which is for short for multiplications, and simply it's just multiplying two numbers, and those two numbers are converted from Roman numerals. And the next function is again similar to divisions, which was similar to multiplication is divisions, and the two number will be from Roman numerals, and the result I created in empty strings because there are there are there will be there will be two Roman numeral character, two Roman numeral number that will be created from this. The first Roman numeral number is the factor of divisions, and the second is the remainder from that divisions. And those two value will be appended into that empty strings of result, because from the project guidelines it's asking the user to return, where is it, uh, return result of the integer divisions and the remainder in Roman numerals. So that's what I did for the division function, and after that is the the adding function, which which is add for short, which is simple, adding two numbers together and return it into Roman. And the next one after that is subtractions function, which subtract the first value to the second value. And there is a condition in here that the first value has to be greater than the greater than the second value, because if the second value is greater than or equal to the first value, it will result as a zero or uh, a native number after the subtractions, and there's no Roman number representing those. So that's all of the mathematical functions that I created. And so the next simple function that I created was just a menu function, because it was asked, because the project's guideline was asking for it. So I just create a function that prints all of the all of the list that the user can input. So just indicating a list for the user, like ASMD for the mathematical operations, and Q for quit. So after that is my main program. This is where my program will be using the mathematical functions. I didn't want to create a main function because I don't think it was necessary, and I could have just started with a while loop. And I chose while true because simply I can just continue and break whenever whenever the program reaches a certain conditions. So yeah, the first within that file a while loop, the first thing that I run is the menu function, which create this whole list for the user to read and follow. And after that is the option that I initiated. The option value is simply just the input, and that input will be a string. And I will demonstrate to you later on. Let me clear up this. Let me clear up this command window. Sorry. So within that while loop, there will be certain amount of if statement because I'll be checking the user if the user is entering D for divisions, M for multiplications, A for adding, or else if S for subtractions. And after all of those, if the user input meets any of those conditions, then it will operate a the mathematical operations, and then later on continue continue on with the while loop. And then if the user enter Q for quit, then simply I can just break the the while loop, and the program just end from there because the user want to quit. And the else statement is simply for this input up here. Is that if the input is something other than the five the five input that I created here, then it will ask the user to enter a valid entry and try again. So I will do some demo for my Python programs and see how it works. So I will press run. So first I will start with additions. So I'll press A, and my program will friendly ask enter the first Roman number. So I will follow with the example from the guideline, from the project's guideline. So the first number is XLIV, which is 44. XLIV, and there you have 44. And the second number is CCLXV, LXV, and that is simply 265. And my code does jump ahead, and but we can figure out where it went through. So after I enter the 265 in Roman number, it returns, indicating the reader that that value is 265, and after adding it with 44, it will become 309. And the Roman it shows the mathematical operations in Arabic number and also in Roman numeral number. Okay, so the next program that I can show you is simply, oh yeah, the next run that I can show you is subtractions. So enter the first number, let's say 50, okay, 68, that is 68. And the next number is uh, 50, I mean 60, yeah, 60. And as we can all see right here, value of Lx is 60, value of Lx VIII is 68, and here's all the results. Okay, now we can move on to multiplications. So M for multiply. Let's do something simple. VIII, 8. 8, and then the second Roman number is 27. That will be 27 will be 27, 27, XX, VII. Yep, 27. And here it is. Value of XX VII is 27. 8 times 27 is 216. And here you have the operation in Roman numeral and Arabic. And the last thing we can go over is the division. So we can do 89. No, 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 not that. Let's see. L. Wait, how is it 89? Okay, I'm not going to do that large number, but let's see. 60 divided by, I'll say 4. No, not 4. 8. VIII. And here you go. You have the factor and you have the remainder in Roman and in Arabic's number. And the last condition that I want to test is the quit condition, and it is Q. Let's see how it goes. Yep, it says goodbye. And that's all I have for today's programming. Thank you for watching.